I was questioning a doctor during his pretrial deposition, and in the middle of questioning him, the doctor stood up, started screaming and yelling at me, took his papers, threw them on the table, and then stormed out of the room. You want to know what this is about? Come join me on this walk through the neighborhood as I share with you exactly what happened here. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. All right, this is a case involving improperly performed plastic surgery where my client suffered significant injuries because we claim that this doctor violated the basic standards of medical care. Now, I should tell you something else. This doctor was a plastic surgeon, and normally they are impeccably dressed. This doctor came to his pretrial question and answer session in his attorney's office wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. That was something that was so bizarre. I'd never seen that before. This pretrial question and answer session takes place in his attorney's office, in his conference room. There's no judge there. There's no jury there. But there is a court reporter, a court stenographer there to record all of my questions and all of the doctor's answers. And how does that work? Well, at the end of the questioning, the court reporter goes back and goes ahead and transcribes all of the questions and answers and puts it into the form of a booklet. And the answers that the doctor gives carries the same exact weight as if he is testifying at the time of trial in court in front of a jury, in front of a judge. Okay, so it is critically important. It's sworn testimony. All right, so now during the course of my questioning of this particular doctor, I ask him a series of questions. And it starts out by asking him about his credentials. And I begin questioning his credentials. And at some point during the course of this series of questions, the doctor gets so angry, he gets so fed up that here I am, an attorney who's now questioning his knowledge and experience, who now has the audacity to question that this doctor was careless, the audacity to go ahead and suggest that this doctor didn't know what the heck he was doing. And because of that, he got so angry, he starts yelling and screaming at me. And you know what he's screaming about? He's saying, "How dare you go ahead and question my experience? Who the heck are you?" And he didn't use the word heck. "Who the heck are you?" By the way, he's cursing during this whole tirade. "Who the heck are you to go ahead and tell me what is the standard of care?" And I said to him, "Doctor, I'm not questioning the standard of care. I'm asking you, what is the standard of care in this instance? In a patient who presents to you with the following problems, what does good medical care require that you do in that instance? That's all I'm asking you." And the doctor still didn't understand the question. "Doctor, in a patient who now presents with the following things, would you agree it's important to take a detailed, thorough history?" "Yes." "Would you agree it's important to go ahead and make detailed notes of your interaction with the patient?" "Yes." And now I began to ask him questions about the standard of care for a patient with this type of problem. And now the doctor starts yelling and screaming. "Who the heck are you to try and tell me what the standard of care is? That's not right. You can't do that." And he's berating me as if he's like a bully trying to get me to go ahead and stop asking these questions. And you know what I did? I simply sat down. I sat there. I let the doctor go through his entire tirade until he exhausted himself, which took about 2 minutes. And now I continued my questioning of this doctor. And now, what happened then? The doctor became so angry that I continued this line of questioning. "Doctor, where'd you go to medical school? Doctor, where did you do your residency training? Who was your residency supervisor? Who was the chairman of the program? And doctor, in order to become board certified, you have to take various tests, correct?" "Yes." "You have to take an oral examination, true?" "Yes." "And you have to take a written examination, isn't that true?" "Yes." "And you have to accumulate a certain number of medical cases over the course of a period of years in order to qualify and justify you sitting for these examinations, isn't that true?" "Yes." "Doctor, did you have to take the oral examination more than once?" You should have seen his reaction. Why? Because that question implies that he failed the board examinations. He starts screaming and yelling at me. Turns out he didn't have to take that one more than once. "Doctor, the written portion of the examination, did you have to take that more than once?" And the ultimate answer, after a tirade, was yes, he did. You think he was trying to hide something? When it turns out that he failed his board examinations not once, not twice, but 3 different times. That I found fascinating. So now I'm continuing asking him questions. And I happen to be very polite during this entire process. And I'm asking him more questions about the standard of care. At which point he turns to me. He starts screaming and yelling, gets up, and now it looks like he's got steam coming out of his ears. He takes the papers that are in front of him and he throws them across the table and he runs out of the room. And you know what? I'm looking at the court reporter. The court reporter is looking at me. We've never seen this happen before. And his own attorney is sitting there stunned with his mouth to the floor. He couldn't believe it. And it took him a few seconds to actually get up out of his seat and run after the doctor. I have never in my career seen a doctor do that. You know why? Because it's simply not professional. Now, why is that important? Because at the end of this question and answer session, I go ahead and prepare a report that I use internally to go ahead and remind myself of exactly what happened during the course of this question and answer session. I need to know how the doctor reacted to my series of questions. I need to know the answers to those questions that I've been asking him. And this report will go ahead and let me refresh my memory about the events that transpired. Now, you should know something else. The defense attorney likewise, at the end of this deposition, goes ahead and prepares a report and sends it to the insurance company. And after this whole nonsense tirade and these antics, goes ahead and drafts a report and tells the insurance company, listen, this guy is unstable. This guy flew off the handle. And if he does that during the course of a deposition, just imagine what Oginski is going to do to him at the time of trial. His buttons are easily pushed, and he gets extremely angry when confronted about his personal qualifications. In that instance, now they will view that as a negative, a big, big negative, and factor that in when deciding whether or not to go ahead and settle this case or try and do something else. Why? Because if this case ultimately goes to trial, you know what? Now they will view his outbursts as a significant risk. And if the jury sees that, they're going to question why he's acting like a 2-year-old. Why do I share this great information with you? I share it with you just to give you a sense of what really happens in these medical malpractice cases. I realize you're likely watching this video because you have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter happened in New York and you have not yet started a lawsuit but are thinking of doing so and still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.